Hey fam, we are back with another episode about some very important things when it comes to finances, um, faith, freedom, just all of the things when we're talking about the 1863 pillars. Today, though, we wanted to talk about something that I think a lot of us don't think about, but is super important, and that's a financial self-check if you've never heard of it before. I think for me, I've been big lately on self-care, and I think a big part of
Lately,
self-care. Huh?
lately,
Yeah, lately. Yeah.
man, that's your stick. That's you. But I, yeah, lately, it's
Yes.
different. It does look different now. So
Yeah, it does, and I think that the financial self-check part is a part of it that I never considered, but
uh,
self-care is also financial. Like, I think financial is the foundation for a lot of everything that we're talking about, really.
absolutely,
So for me, financial self-check is not something that I've practiced before, but I think it's super important. So I think that's why this conversation is gonna be really dope. Not only for myself, but for anyone that is watching, because I just wanna dive into, like, what that actually even means. What about you? How are you feeling about, like, a financial self-check? That's not something I
you know, I guess it's a little different for me because I've been in finance for so long. I'm
Mhm.
constantly doing self checks
Mm.
from a financial standpoint.
Mhm.
I call them self audits.
Mhm.
But you know, on the other side of it, we're kind of going back to what you were just talking about from the standpoint of more or less an emotional audit. That's the part that is on the newer side for me.
Mhm.
Um,
'Cause they go hand in hand.
they lock right on in. In fact, yeah, you can I'm tying a lot of lines between how one affects the other, and, with that being said, the 20 some odd years of tax experience I have, tax litigation, tax practice, I've started to draw a lot of distinct patterns between the 2. It's
Mhm.
certain clients that you don't even have to have in-depth conversations with,
Mhm.
that you can understand what their mindset is, and
Mhm.
then their financial situation is almost always an exact, portrayal of how they move and respond to life.
Mhm.
So, yeah, they're extremely in sync.
Yeah, and I think that's super important. Like, we definitely are gonna deep dive into the correlation between the emotional, your emotional way that you cope and the way that you move and how that correlates directly to money. I think before we even get there, just kind of explaining like what we think a financial self-check is. I know you said that's more like an audit. For me, this is being a new thing that I'm adding. It's like my self-care routine. For me, that's going to look like checking in on not on my finances regularly and then taking note of the emotions that come up again because it's also tied. So that way I can start to pinpoint when things are stressful for me. Is this when I'm overspending? Is this when I've not stuck to my budget? Those kinds of things where I'm checking in not just on the finances because it's deeper than that, but also checking into how I respond when I am checking in on them and how I am spending, because
Yeah,
a lot of people are emotional spenders as well. So if I'm looking at it from all these different aspects, to me, that's like a financial self-check. And I think it's an individual journey too.
yeah,
I think you can look at it, if you have a partner, but I think that you have to take a peek into how you do things first
yeah.
individually so that you can work on some things before trying to bring like a partner into it. So for me, that's what I'm kind of getting from a financial self-check and something I'm going to implement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. I had to kind of go into my bag and pull some of the things that I know to be true in regard to financial self audits.
Mhm.
And in this regard, when we're not just solely and specifically talking about, what's on the P&L or the ledger,
Mhm.
there are mainly 3 to 4 factors that I've kind of pulled out. And I'll break those down.
Okay.
One of them I call is the vibe ledger. That's
Vibe?
the vibe,
Okay,
yeah, the
vibe.
vibe ledger. And really all that means is tracking every major purchase
Yeah.
and then kind of annotating what your feelings or mood towards having to pay that are. Like nobody wants to yeah, it's different because I'm very emotionless when it comes to money. I don't care about money. I see money as a tool, not a resource. It is part of the
Yeah.
financial ecosystem.
Yeah.
But most people put so much emphasis on money
Yeah.
when certain
Hmm.
circumstances come about. For instance,
That's interesting.
going out and having a good time and spending $100 on a meal and drinks and everything, a lot that is a luxury.
Mhm.
But when you enjoy it, you don't mind it that much.
Mhm.
Let you accrue a $65 overcharge and a $35 overcharge fee.
Mhm.
That's the same $100,
Mhm.
but it feels completely different, right?
Mhm. Is that values you feel?
It's
Like what you
values.
find valuable?
Well,
Or
so yeah, what you that's the
yeah.
difference. What you find valuable, worthy, or even in places where did you allocate XYZ for the budget? Because if I allocated $100 for going out and having a good time
Mhm.
versus I didn't allocate that $100 because I didn't realize it was gonna go $65 over and I
Mhm.
didn't know it in enough time to catch it before that $35 hit.
Now that emotion is totally
It
different.
is completely it's not the same.
Yeah, I like that,
Um
the vibe check.
yeah,
Yeah.
so and then I have one we call the friction test. Now, that's when you identify which bills or obligations cause physical
Like
reactions.
heartbeat
Yes.
racing,
Yes.
sweat.
Yes. Like a lot of people,
That's how I feel
for
when I get my
instance,
property tax. I
point
say,
in case.
that's how.
Exactly that. Especially with bills or certain responsibilities that don't come regularly.
Mhm.
Those are the ones that really, really kind of make you tense up. It's
That's
like
so true.
you almost forget the fact that it is a blessing that I have this property. It is a
Right.
blessing that this is,
Mm.
a roof over a head, a stream of income, an investment that's almost guaranteed to bring me value. But it don't matter when I get that extra bill because I'm already maintaining it. I'm already paying for it. I'm already having to pay to furnish it, having to pay to keep it going with utilities.
Yeah.
So it's one of those real life things that we just don't pay attention to. But that anxiety or those feelings that give you a literal physical sense
Mm.
of response,
Mhm.
that's no different from that fight or flight syndrome or getting hit with certain other emotional responses.
That's so
So
true.
you're still embodying stress
Yeah.
and then you're suppressing and ignoring it because, oh, I don't want to pay this bill, but I have
I
to.
have
So
to.
then life goes on, but you're still harboring that stress. So it's good to annotate when you actually feel it. Like if it creates real hesitation and anxiety, there's more there.
But so each year I know it's coming, but
Mm-hmm.
each year I feel the same because
Mm-hmm.
I still have not emotionally, I'm not financially prepared for it. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, when I get it, it is the same year after year.
Yeah.
So I see what you're saying. There's friction
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to that or these types of bills, whatever it looks like
And that's
for
why it's
each
called a
person.
friction test.
Wow, the friction test. Well,
Yeah.
that one I failed on.
Yeah.
That one when it comes to property tax. I
Yeah.
like that. So we got vibe
Yeah,
and we got
vibe. You
friction
got the
test.
vibe check or the
Vibe
vibe
check,
ledger,
vibe
and then you
ledger,
have the friction
friction
test.
test. Okay.
Another one I have is the narrative check, and I
Okay.
mean that it's pretty straightforward. It's admitting the truth beyond your financial justifications. Uh,
Hmm.
so in other words, so a lot of the times we lie to ourselves. I,
Yeah.
I worked hard this week. I deserve it. You work hard every day and every week. What changed about this week
You justify
that
it.
means you should go out and spend XYZ
True.
extra dollars?
True.
Or you're tight on finances, but he worked so hard, he deserves that new pair of shoes.
Mm,
Or me and you've experienced this. The phone is fine.
yeah.
It's 2 years old.
Yeah.
But since you haven't updated it, haven't upgraded the software,
Yeah.
or maybe it's got a cracked screen or whatever, well, I need a brand new one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Right.
Because it does the exact same thing regardless.
Right.
Same thing with cars.
Yeah.
We just saw a situation where somebody paid off a vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
but then instead of keeping that
Yeah.
vehicle, they decided to lease something else because they felt like it made sense.
Mm.
There lies beyond that. Why are you really going back into debt when you can't afford it? Why are you really upgrading something that already works and does the exact same thing?
So you're saying there's a lie in the narrative you
Oh,
tell
yeah.
yourself to be
Abso
okay with the purchase.
Absolutely.
And I find that sometimes when you do that, right, in the moment, you then feel that buyer's remorse later because
Yep.
you settle in and you're like, "Oh, I actually shouldn't have made that purchase."
Yeah.
And a lot of times, it's not reversible. Sometimes
Mm.
it is, but when you make those types of decisions based off the narrative lie, I could see why you put yourself in more dire situations than you need to be in because you're not in the headspace to where what you're coming up with makes a lot of sense for
Absolutely.
your situation.
Absolutely. We as humans will justify anything with the right
It's the
narrative.
justification.
It's gotta have the right narrative. For instance, we all, regardless of what you believe in love. We
Right,
believe in
right,
honoring one another as neighbors and doing all the things,
right.
but let me give you a narrative
Mm,
of how bad these people are,
mhm,
and now all of a sudden, if I feed you that narrative enough,
mhm,
when I decide to wage war and start
mhm,
slaughtering,
mhm.
you're gonna be okay with it because I've been feeding you a lie this entire time, or half truths or pieces.
So it's not always just internal.
Oh,
It's
most of the most
programming, right?
mo
I mean,
all
it does come to you internally, but it's not an independent thought is what I'm
exactly.
saying.
No, it's
It's
almost never independent.
programming. It's
Yes,
people that are advertising to you on social media and
absolutely.
commercials
Yeah.
so that when you are in a situation where you got a little extra
Yep,
coming in from tax season refund or
yep.
whatever it is, it's like, you know what, I do deserve that.
Mhm.
And so you're making decisions, rash
Based on
decisions
emotion
based on emotions,
and not
based off the
rationale.
narrative of the lie that
Mhm.
you've been sold and you're
Absolutely.
believing and you're taking on.
It's the American way.
Wow.
This is how the world works.
That is
Um,
that's a
yeah.
whole
Yeah. I mean, you
conversation.
gotta think about it. If I can the best way to sway a people is
Yeah.
to make them emotional.
Yeah.
The best way to keep them emotional is to understand that they're not gonna do their own due diligence in most cases.
Mhm.
So if I can feed you the right narrative enough, I can
Mhm.
turn you into a controllable. I can turn you into a consumer. I can turn
Mhm.
you into a puppet of whatever orchestra I want to essentially orchestrate.
Wow.
And that's honestly that's how the finance industry runs. It it
Wow.
it it depends on your lack of understanding. That's why
Yeah.
financial literacy is not taught in
Taught.
school from the
Right.
beginning.
Right.
It's the narratives. And that goes down to anything, but when we talk about finances,
Yeah.
that's where it shows up. I consider these to be the receipts of the soul.
I like that.
You just it's more than a bank statement. It's
Hmm.
behavior behind every single thing. When I do an audit, if I go in with a business owner and I know and I'm able to look at their full 12 months worth of worth of financials, I
Mhm.
also understand their habits.
Mhm.
I understand their values or the things that they place most valuable,
Mhm.
all the way down to how they are with their money. Are you moving in a place of urgency? Are you moving in a place of security or a
Mhm.
place of scarcity? I'm
Mhm.
able to see all of that from the numbers.
From the numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that. I feel like I'm gonna adopt those that you just said. I mean, just because even in us talking about it, I was like, "Yup, that's me," or I can relate because
Yeah.
I've done that, and so I know I'm not the only one. And a lot of us don't take the time to look at things like this. But I like how you labeled it. It's easy for me to remember the vibe,
Yep. The vibe
the
ledger.
um, the
The f-
narrative,
yep. The narrative check and then
and
the
the
friction
friction.
test.
So I love that. I love
Absolutely.
that. But I think my question would be then is like, how do these types of emotions, because what we're talking about now is, I feel like, in a general sense, but even when we're talking about tax season, because as you mentioned in the previous episode, this is like one of the top stressors. And I just didn't know that was a thing. I mean, I knew people stressed about it, but to the fact where it's actually showing up as a statistic in a high regard, I want to know, like, how do these types of emotions impact, just decision making around tax season time? Like, when we're talking
that's
about
that's a
getting
good
that
one.
refund check, like, in the decisions that people are making, so
So
it's emotional.
it is, but
So,
it's also bigger than that. It
okay,
starts
let's
on the
talk.
forefront
Yeah.
because you got to think. So, for instance, all right, so let's back all the way up. Most people, when it comes to finances, they will procrastinate. They'll kind of
True.
overlook. They'll skip steps. They'll continue to say, "I will start when."
Yeah.
hell, even living their lives, I'll start doing the thing to live my life
Yeah,
when I make a certain amount of money
true.
or when I get past a
So you
certain point.
just
So
yeah.
the thing is, the tax season is when the IRS essentially is forcing
Mhm,
you to face reality.
mhm,
So now all of a sudden, you're all the anxiety from not prepping prior to
mhm,
is hitting at once.
mhm,
It plays out in a couple different ways. You once again, we noticed that from the
mhm,
thousands of people we serve on the front end. You can
mhm,
tell their anxiety from the moment they reach out.
mhm,
Most of them don't know what's going on, so they're mad all of a sudden
mm,
over nothing,
yeah,
and everything is confusing. The most simple concepts they can't even conceive, and these are brilliantly smart
of
people,
course.
but their anxiety and emotion.
Wanna allow them to conceive, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So that's on the front end.
Hmm.
Now we can talk about the back end.
Mhm,
Okay, so you've gotten that check.
mhm,
How many people do we know need that check so bad?
mhm.
They need to hurry up and get paid. They got to hurry up and get their money. One, it ain't guaranteed.
Right, right, right.
Two, once it's filed, you have to wait on the IRS to do their part in
Right.
processing, but they forego all of that understanding for the sake of what they feel like they need in that moment.
Yeah.
We also see, and we've even
So
made
they're
fun of.
counting money they don't have yet. Okay,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They are foreshadowing the debt they plan on getting into.
Because I was just gonna say when I just historically when we've seen people make these kinds of like, I need it, it's not because they have a plan to kind of further themselves. It is more so, like you mentioned, they're about to make a decision that
Mhm.
more than likely is not going to advance them. It is either to pay off debt
That
from,
that they shouldn't have got into in most
exactly,
cases.
or to, like you said, get into more debt.
Exactly.
So,
And the only
wow.
reason I say that, this is not to p and just
Yeah.
to make sure I clarify, this is not to make fun or pick with
No.
anyone dealing with a financial hurdle, battle, and struggle right now.
Right.
We understand that the economy is completely different from what it's been like
Yeah.
at any at most other points in time.
Yeah.
I have my own perspectives on how it is where it is versus where it's been not that
Yeah.
long ago, but I'm not gonna get into that.
Yeah.
What I'm referring to is the thing we all have at one point known and laughed about.
What's
That
that?
person who goes and gets that car they can't afford,
Oh, yeah.
or puts
Yeah.
the rims on and systems and paint job on the car that doesn't run worth a damn,
Right.
and foregoes the fact that, hey, I can position myself to get ahead.
Yeah.
Most people want to live in the now because I don't usually get a check this big
Right,
and
right.
I want to feel it. I want the
You wanna
emotional
enjoy it.
stimulation. I want to, because I worked hard and
It's
I
the
deserve it.
instant gratification over
Yes,
the delayed gratification. That's what I'm hearing
absolutely.
right now. It's
Absolutely.
like, here's the instant, here is the delayed.
That's exactly what it is. And one is saying, I want to spend and waste. The other is saying, I want to invest and
Invest.
secure.
Yeah.
And we're
Most
moving in
definitely.
a point in time right now where we have to move differently. We have to move corporately.
Yeah.
We see who's at the head and we know who's at the tail.
Yeah.
So the only way to bridge that gap is to start maneuvering more wisely.
Yeah, 'cause I
Um,
was just gonna ask that, like,
mhm.
how do we go from a space of like, we're sitting up here naming all the characteristics that not only you and I have seen, that probably everyone has known at least one person that they know during tax season is either stressful or banking on that check, making bad decisions. These I feel
Yep,
like these avatars we're naming are it's like super common that the average person has at least one person that they know fit within one of these avatars.
absolutely.
To me, that is a lot of emotion, that is a lot of trauma, that's a lot there where it's, like, really, really, what's the word? Loaded, right?
Yeah, it
So how do
is.
we move from a place of making decisions from those places of emotions to, "Okay, now we're going to make them from a place of vision and strategy."
That's a
Like,
good
how do we
question.
jump from there to vision and strategy?
That's a really good question. I think to answer that, we have to go back to the roots. And
Okay.
that kind of goes back to what I was referring to in the audit, because there are things called authority triggers, right?
Ooh,
And
okay.
authority triggers are basically things that you have to respond to because of a sense of authority applying that
Oh,
pressure.
you have to.
You don't
Okay.
have a
Like
choice.
the IRS.
Like the IRS,
Gotcha.
like having to go to court to pay for that speeding ticket, like
Mhm.
having to pay that bill.
Yeah.
All of these are authority triggers
Yeah.
because I mean, you do have options. You could live off grid if you don't want to pay bills. You
Yeah.
could decide to live elsewhere if you don't want to do. You can do it, but the reality is most of us are not going to do that. But it's bigger than that. There's a entire ecosystem and system that we all operate within.
Okay.
If you're a US citizen, then you know you have governmental, state-wise, federal, et cetera, et cetera. There are a lot of different authorities
Yeah.
that you have to abide by, right?
True.
Now, the thing is, even though those external factors are authority triggers, what about the internal authority trigger?
Okay. Me.
So, in other words, what is your purpose? What are you here for?
Ooh.
Because if you understand who you are
Mhm.
and what your actual value is,
I see where you're going.
then nobody can tell you your worth. Therefore, you're not running around trying to emulate what everybody else is doing. Most of us are operating from a place of ignorance. We're
Wow.
trying to emulate what we see outward
Yeah.
and have no idea what goes on behind closed doors
Yeah.
or internally in the things we're trying to emulate.
Yeah.
So most people are inside of a external system where they'll rebel by procrastinating because I'm gonna keep putting it off.
Mm.
I'm gonna keep waiting. I don't want to address it right now, and I don't have to.
And I don't have to.
Mm-hmm. But
Hmm.
or submission, which is pure panic and anxiety. Take what you need. Those are the people who
Wow.
I don't even care. Just
Don't.
pay whatever. I don't
Yeah.
need to learn it. I don't need to deal with it. I just want it
Just
out of my way.
out of my
Please
face.
get this off of me.
So total avoidance, and avoidance in a different way,
Mm-hmm.
meaning go ahead and take whatever because I don't want to deal with.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
both are evading education,
Absolutely.
accountability,
Absolutely.
um,
Accountability. Accountability. I mean, essentially, it's almost always going to boil down to
Hmm.
at least get proper context
Yeah.
so that you can change your perspective,
Yeah.
so that you can claim your power in the
So
situation.
that's what you mean by the root.
That is what I mean by the root.
Equals context.
Root is always in my head going to equal context. I don't care if we're talking physically, emotionally, socially, spiritually, without context. And we are so void of context. Even that's why I believe, Jesus' last words were we're essentially we're all naive. We don't know what we're doing.
We don't know
We are operating in ignorance.
but we have tools that can help
Exactly.
us, right? Yeah.
But we have to seek context first.
Context.
Because if you don't understand it,
Yeah.
you can talk about it.
Yeah.
You can even believe what you're talking about.
And when you send context about it, are you talking about finance itself, or are you talking about internal?
I'm talking about both.
Okay.
I'm talking about both.
I figured you were.
Yes.
Because it's bigger than just jumping into a finance book, right?
I can pick up a finance book and I can understand this and I can read it and I can even follow it. But if there are emotional triggers, habits, and things of that nature that I am still putting into this, now I have the academic, but I've not addressed the emotional.
Ooh, yeah.
So, and how many people do we know are educated, but don't apply any of the education that they have? They have the knowledge.
Yeah.
It's the action that they can't figure out because they have not found context. They have not healed their internal wounds, and they don't even have the faith or confidence in applying what they know academically.
Yeah.
So it all goes back.
So that's the gap.
Yeah.
That's literally.
It is absolutely the gap. That's why I'm always harboring on, you got to figure out what you need to do by getting in alignment, and then you got to do the thing. Because going back to your actual question, what I'm hearing is, how do we separate scarcity from wisdom?
Yeah.
Scarcity is emotional.
It is.
Wisdom is emotional.
Okay.
Wisdom means I know how to control my emotions and seek truth.
Right.
Scarcity means what I see is true is what I know is true.
Ooh.
So
now that's whoa. I need to pause right there. What I see is true is what I know is true.
Mhm.
And so that saying where it says, believe half, what is it?
Half of
Half
what
what
you
you
see.
see
Oh,
and
no. Yeah, believe none of what you
what you
hear and only half of
what
what you
you
see.
see.
Yeah,
That brought me back to that
absolutely.
because what you just
Absolutely.
said is what I see is what I believe is true. And what you see is not, most times is not true.
Come on. Hello.
Smoking
Hello. Smoke and mirrors.
mirrors.
Yep. Yep. I mean, think about it. In a
Wow.
day of AI, when anybody can create any video of anything, that's like it should be obvious. We can't just
Wow.
base it off of what we
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
How many times have you
Go
seen that
deeper.
that such and such rapper or actor passed away?
Right, right.
You saw it on the news, on the social media, on they still alive
But
right now.
scarcity would have you believe in the first thing
Yep.
that you see. Wisdom would say, let me control this emotion. Because again,
Until I
also
can
just
verify.
throwing something in there, just a little tidbit, that our brains literally don't conceive the difference
They
between
don't know.
reality and what's not real. I mean, what's
Exactly.
not real.
Exactly.
So being able to, wisdom is saying, okay, let me
I
control
feel
that.
this, I see this,
Yeah.
but let me verify.
Let me make
Let me
sure.
confirm.
Let me do deeper research.
Let me align.
Let
Yes.
me read.
Exactly.
These are some of the
Exactly.
wow.
I mean, one thing I believe to know is true, and it's a very simple phrase: seek and you shall find.
Yeah.
Most of the time, we don't seek.
A lot of power in that simple phrase.
Yeah, yeah,
But it unlocks that context that you're talking about.
exactly. And
Seeking you shall
I'm a seeker. I need to know.
Yeah.
I'm a seeker and a searcher.
Yeah.
I need to know and I need to understand the full ecosystem around anything I want to know. So that way, even if I don't know all the nuances, I can conceive and I can understand.
Mhm.
Most people aren't taking that first step. So it's, oh, well, I heard this, and then based on my beliefs,
Mhm.
this is how I feel about it.
Mhm.
You're going off of this much information and you're void of context.
That's powerful. I mean, all in all, I think through this whole conversation, what I am hearing is really less about money
Absolutely.
and more about how we are managing internally,
Yeah.
right? So
That's what it
while
all
a lot
boils
of
down to.
things that have happened to us that kind of create these patterns and habits are not our fault, it is our responsibility. Like
Absolutely.
I hear that a lot, and it
Usually in regard to
clicks.
trauma.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
clicks a lot when we're talking about just managing yourself as an adult, right? Just as bigger than finance. Like
Absolutely.
but it all links.
It
It all
yes.
coincides. It all is all interconnected. So if you get a grip on managing your emotional capacity or
Yeah.
just the way that you're handling things and your emotions, if you get a grip on seeking context first before allowing your emotions to make you react to
Mhm.
certain things, these are all steps that we have the ability to and responsibility to
Absolutely.
ourselves. We owe it to ourselves to do those things. And then I feel like you will naturally become a little bit better when I'm talking about managing finances. I don't think you start from managing finances. Yes, can you jump and get a budget? Yes, can you start
Yes.
working on spreadsheets? Yes, but what that's going to do if you've not addressed emotional is create anxiety, stress around the things that you're trying to jump and do because you've not prepared to jump into a spreadsheet.
Exactly.
You haven't even built the muscle up
Exactly.
for someone that'll be sticking to a budget.
Yep.
You can't just jump there. So I think that's
Exactly.
why I really also truly love the tool and resource that we have,
Yeah.
the 1863 app. And the reason I say that is because as someone who's always wanted to get a grip on my own finances since I was, fresh out of college and learning these things for the first time, one, I'm always seeking context and knowledge. So I've jumped on plenty of financial apps, I'm not gonna name them,
Yeah,
but
no
just
name.
jumped
Yeah.
on all of them. And I've not had one that started with how I am reacting and my behavior. I
Right.
should say my
Right.
behavior when it comes to finances is jumping straight to the budget. What are
Exactly.
your bills? How much money you make? It's not
And
helping me
this is how it should
devise a
work.
plan. It's not helping me address behaviors. And so
Exactly.
our app saying we want to take each person's individual, unique experience when it comes to money and then devise a plan that will help you not just budget, but help you really advance yourself
Mhm.
financially, emotionally, all those things. That is super unique in and of itself. Like, I
Yeah,
have not come across an app like
yeah,
that. So, not just saying that because it's ours, but saying it because I use the product and I believe in it
right.
because of that component of having the behavioral kind of
Yeah, it's
feature in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing about the 1863 is built off of behavioral economics first.
Yes.
So it is literally set up to learn what you want and need out of life,
Yeah.
and then it can also learn your habits through your spending and your interaction with it.
Yeah.
It is the exact same as going to that financial planner,
Yeah.
finally being able to get into a meeting, even though they usually charge X amount of money or you have to make X amount of money to even get in front of them. But let's say your situation is there.
Mhm.
If they're starting you with a budget, I always say this. Starting with a budget is the equivalent of being out of shape, getting a trainer, and then them saying, "Here's a diet."
Mhm.
If we haven't addressed the the
Mhm.
issues underlying at that, if we're not
Mhm.
talking about the root,
Mhm.
then the likeliness of you sticking to this diet
Mhm.
or this budget plan
Mhm.
are extremely low.
Yeah. I
Not only that, but can that budget really address the financial traumas
Right.
or the financial habits that I have
Right.
from a place of holding me accountable?
Mm-mm.
Because it's good to say, yes, it's the beginning of the year. I'm going to, new year, new me. I'm going to
Mhm.
stick to my budget. I'm going to lose my weight. I'm going to do
Mhm.
all the things. And I believe you can do it. Anybody
Yeah,
can.
of course.
The reality, though, is when that rock chips that glass on your car window
Mhm.
and you don't have the insurance that covers it,
Mhm.
when you blow a tire,
Mhm.
when there's a government shutdown
Mhm.
and you're not getting paid X amount of money right now,
Mhm.
when the job lays off, whatever the case may be, because life,
Mhm.
now all of a sudden to hell with that budget or that diet. I
Mhm.
gotta go get me. I gotta get it in how I can.
Right.
And if that means pulling the money off my credit cards and maxing them out, if it means borrowing, I gotta do what I gotta do
Right.
because real life does not stop.
Right.
And the beautiful thing about this app is not only is it extremely affordable and we've made it for everybody,
Mhm.
but it's going to hold you accountable and it's going to continue to learn you. It's
Yeah.
going to give you advice, but it's not going to shame you. It's
Yeah.
not going to make you feel as though you're lesser than. It's all built to lift you up and give you a better understanding, perspective, and more clarity on your actual situation.
Yeah.
You still have to do the work, though.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, again, I knew that this was going to be a great conversation because, again, this is not a common topic that I've ever heard anyone really talk about. And that is just checking in with yourself financially, one, but emotionally as well, because they are tied together. So, as I mentioned in the beginning of this, if you're on a self care journey, even if you're not, you need to be. This has to be a part of it
Yeah,
because finance, emotional health, all of that is a part of the ecosystem that makes us, well. And so I know that a lot of us want to live well, be well.
and
These
do
are the
well.
steps that we have to take. And so the foundational pieces, just making sure that you are one, getting a grip on your emotions and figuring it out. Again, I love the part, we didn't even talk about it, but I do want to throw this in there where you talked about values, morals. Sit down with yourself and really think about those
Yeah,
things. Like, what does success look like to you? Not what,
the
media
world tells you.
portrays, but
Yeah,
like, what do you really value out of life?
yeah.
Like, really sit down without any interruptions and think about those things for yourselves and write them down. Like, write down your values, write down the things, and so that every decision should align with your values, with your
Absolutely.
morals, and then you build from there. Like, just start foundationally from there.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
And to piggyback off that before we end this conversation out, it's okay to stop for a second
Mhm.
and ask yourself, do I even want the life that I'm building? Because most people,
Tough question to
yeah,
sit with,
yeah,
boy.
most of, and that's why I said it, because most people, most of my clients, especially the ones that I coach and mentor and counsel, it all goes back to what are you building?
Yeah.
Is it based on the lies and stories that you were told you were supposed to be who the world says you're supposed to be? or are you in alignment with what you're really passionate about and feel is your mission in life?
Mm,
Because if you're not building a mission in alignment,
mhm.
likeliness is you're either existing or surviving on the other side,
Yeah.
and you're probably giving your life away for a bunch of stuff you don't even want,
Then you're not happy.
and you're not happy. So the best thing you could do for you right now is figure that out so that you can start to focus on your emotional wellness and wealth.
Right.
Because once you do that, honestly, the financial side is gonna pay its own dividends. All of a
Great.
sudden, that debt's gonna clear up. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, you're not gonna care as much about chasing that dollar figure,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna start to attract
Yeah.
the right type of resources,
Yeah.
wellness, and tools that are supposed to allow you to do the thing.
And these habits will stick because I feel like if
Oh
you
yeah,
start working on different areas of your life, you almost feel disgusted when you're not performing well in the other areas. It's
yep,
a ripple effect.
yep. It's the things we don't notice because we're so
Exactly.
stuck in that system
Yeah. Yeah.
that is giving us this authority that says you have to be doing this, you need to be doing this. This is what success looks like. This is what most of
Yeah.
it's trash.
No, this was good. I mean, I know that whenever we have conversation, I'm always leaving with stuff that I'm
Mm,
going to utilize myself, and I hope that
same.
everyone that is listening could pull at least one thing from the conversation that they can say, I can take this and do something about it tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't wait. You have the ability and should start to implement things that are going to make you better, that are going to have us living well and being well, doing well now.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
don't
Why wait?
time waits for no one, so
In fact, it speeds up when you realize how much you want it.
that part.
So
And
yeah.
with that being said, we always end with,
Hey, freedom's a right, liberation's a choice. Get right
"Before
before you
you
get
get
left.
left."